Losk an Keen. When I first heard that we would be fighting the dread beast Pandaemonium, this isn't exactly what I expected. Unlike P2 and P6, P10 is a drastic step up in difficulty, with one sequence in particular that really belongs in a final turn. Prepare yourselves for a struggle, but one that will make P11 seem like no big deal. My name's Vera, and I'm here to show you how to have fun storming the castle in 11 minutes or less. You're going to need 2 sets of tower assignments and a spread pattern. Healers need the middle towers here, and it must be TMR front to back on the sides. Here, MH get the middle towers, TR the outer. The spread is simply cross-roll partners in a line. Supports left, DPS right, TM in the front. The fight begins with Ultima at home, which, although being a knockoff, does apply a light bleed for about 16k. Next is a split damage tank buster. This first one is typically immune by the main tank. Dividing Wings drops down 2 staves that tether to and fire a cone at 1 support and 1 DPS. The rest of you will need to deal with 2 group soak webs, again always on a support and DPS, support north, DPS south at max melee range. All web mechanics in this fight will chain to themselves if there's so much as touching, so put a healthy amount of space between the circles. You'll also need to be further than 3 yards away from everybody else. The webs will tether to and stick these players in place. Point-blank tethers turn pink and become unbreakable, killing the entire stack. The wing baiters will then need to run through the webs to break them out. I see a lot of rotate clockwise as well as break your own roll, so look for that when you join up. The breakers will need some spot healing as they'll have a dot on them that ticks for close to 30k. Don't zone out and let them drop. Some parties are stupid and bait wings northeast and northwest, and have the stacks go to each side. Not only does this risk clipping, but wings must be baited east-west later on anyway, so it's just a needless complication. Avoid these idiots, they probably don't know what they're doing. Now watch the boss's cast bar for a random in or out mechanic. Holy means get out, circles means get in. Easy peasy. It's already time for those fancy tank towers, but you won't think they're pretty for very long. They'll launch the tanks a country mile when they hit, forcing them to land on the opposing side platform. These yeets are fairly precise and seem inconsistent. I've seen plenty of tanks do it right for 10 pulls in a row and then randomly fuck it up and call bullshit in the chat. The best advice I can offer as a non-tank is to be generally here-ish. This will leave our tanks stranded across the goop, which now applies an extremely painful dot for 40 seconds. Dipping a toe in is basically guaranteed death, but towers are coming and we need them back on the main platform. So, we need to build a bridge. Tanks, a healer, and a DPS will get these gnarly-looking delayed web markers. Healer left, DPS right, stand on the pegs, and make sure those circles are overlapping. They have helpful diamonds around the outside to make it easy to tell. Back away, let the webs drop, and get to your tower position. Now the 6 front towers will create dynamos and chariots like normal, but the 2 on the back will always be lasers. Never stay in the back row, it's always bad. But before worrying about that, watch the boss. Pandaemonium will first cast his own dynamo or chariot to eliminate one of the 2 remaining rows. This mess is a lot easier to solve when you realize exactly how small the chariot towers are and how obnoxious their animation is. They're hard to miss and they leave plenty of gaps around themselves. If you need to stand under a UFO, remember that their dynamos overlap. If you're using one, make sure to stand towards the edge of the room or towards a neighboring chariot tower. Getting hit won't actually kill you, but you'll need doom cleansed off of you within 5 seconds, which will annoy your healer. And as the saying goes, never piss off your white mage. Next up is Silkspit, putting massive web AoEs on everyone. Since they chain to each other and to the web anchor pegs, there's only room for 4 of these on the main platform. Tanks and melee will need to take them on the sides. It hits pretty hard and you'll be spread out too far for most mitigations, so Feint Addle Reprisal are all great here. Alright, here comes the first sticking point. Daemoniac bonds will hand out a round of debuffs. You'll always get a spread and either a cross-roll partner or 4-man roll stack in a random order. Identify this while running back to the middle of the room and say the order out loud to yourself to make sure you don't become a deer. Meltdown is a typical stack and flare mechanic. If you're marked, get the hell out, preferably to the left to cut down on travel time. Once it fires, run to the left platform to avoid touchdown and get into position for the first bond. This just so happens to be during your 2-minute burst window. If you're struggling to maintain your rotation, apply your group buffs and prioritize not drifting your key abilities. There's barely enough space to resolve everything on 1 platform, so it's become the standard strat. 2 platform requires light party splits or roll splits depending on what you get, introducing an extra decision point. Getting used to 1 platform also drills the required positioning for Bonds 3 into your head. The Bonds 3 sequence happens very quickly and the extra practice will seriously help. Additionally, if you do 2 platform, healers will be stressed trying to top off the DPS before the next Ultima. TLDR, just do 1 platform. It may be tight, but it's better that way. Live life on the edge and tilt your camera straight down to avoid slipping off. Pray that you get pairs and spread, which doesn't require much movement. It's very easy for the out of 4 members to be late collapsing or spreading after the roll stack. These players should all use sprint to make it in time. It's important to note that this is not a split damage stack. This is a fucking kill you if you don't have 4 people stack. If someone in your role clipped and died and you have the stack debuff, you should sacrifice yourself to make prog easier. Go back mid before the next cast of Ultima, which will destroy the bridges. Another stack buster. You will need your immunities less than 5 minutes from now, so don't use one unless you are a warrior. Bonds 2 will always be partners and spreads, but a random order. You've got plenty of time to see which before 4 towers pop up north and south. Soak is per your assignment. These towers will all spawn lasers and get marked in pairs 1 through 4. There are 3 possible patterns: inside first, outside first, or cursed. We'll come back to that one. The idea here is that turrets will look at the closest player and fire a beam at them, which is a 2-man soak. Always point them vertically. The lasers will knock you back and apply a debuff to the first player hit, which is basically a vuln. So, everyone needs to aim once, the tanks will help soak them all, and then take the last 2 alone. The order convention is MRHT. The bonds will go off a few seconds after the final laser. Handle this by quadrant based on your tower assignments. 2 people in each fourth of the room leaves plenty of space. The cursed pattern is a little bit more complicated. Tanks need to get knocked back diagonally across the room from pair 3 in order to get their turrets to aim properly. They're somewhat laggy and will not refocus if they arrive too late. The trick here is that the knockback is based on your positioning relative to the turret. The laser's directionality has nothing to do with it. This means the healers can aim normally if tanks shimmy a little bit to the side, or you can just aim them diagonally and tell everyone to clear the area. It's your call. Pandaemonium will then stick his neck out and shoot one half of the room. He could just keep his head where it was and hit the entire platform, but Athena gave him a soul, not a brain. Just get out of the way and spin your camera to watch him fire. A set of orbs will be left behind and hit everything in line with them. Sidestep if necessary. Moving your camera and watching him every time he does this will prevent you from forgetting the orbs later on when things are a little bit more hectic. Typical filler mechanics. Ultima, Stack Buster, Don't Immune. Yeet's Towers, Bridge Webs, and Silk Spit will precede that serious business sequence I was talking about. Bonds 3 is the real killer in P10. It'll be applied as you're running back to your tower position, always spreads and roll stacks. Identify the order on the way and say it so you don't forget. You won't have much time to look again. While holding this in your head, you'll need to navigate the towers as you did before, then run to the middle of the room while he picks a direction to fire his laser. If you aren't waiting there, you probably won't make it in time. Then you need to sprint into your Bonds 1 positioning on the other half of the room. Supports left, DPS right. This means left and right, not edge and middle. I've been tripped up by this so often that I've also started saying right side. This also means that you have to either spread or collapse while dodging the orbs left behind by the ray, and while not clipping anyone else. Within the span of 10 seconds, you need to remember stack or spread, identify in or out, dodge the towers, go middle, dodge the ray, get to your assigned space, and collapse or spread while dodging orbs. That's 8 rapid-fire tasks. If you fall behind even a little bit, you're screwed, which probably means at least 3 other people are screwed too. This is hard. This is very hard. I can't even tell you how many times I instantly wiped here in quote-unquote clear parties. You'll get faster and faster every time you do it, but you'll have to do it a lot to get fast enough. Be patient with yourself and with your teammates. If you have more than 1 death, and you will for a while, immediately healer LB3. Dividing Wings 2 is about to body check you and you need everyone alive instantly. These wings spawn on the side platforms, so hang out in the middle while they target. If you get picked, go to your wing and point it south. Supports will go left and DPS right to avoid touchdown. One of each will get another stack web. Don't be too close to each other and make damn sure you don't web the bridge peg. This will kill you all. The annoying thing here is that the DPS side has no healer, and that dot hurts. That breaker and the healers need to do everything they can to get back into range ASAP. Now you finally get a breather. Meltdown into Stack Buster is all you need to deal with for a little while. Again, save your immunities and as many mitigation tools as you can get away with. Harrowing Hell is coming, and I promise you, you're gonna need them. Wings 3 will shortly follow in the same place as Wings 1. They'll tether and you'll get a stack web plus 3 delayed bridge webs. Point the wings out just like before, but at a little bit of an angle to avoid getting clipped by an incoming holy. The stack just goes where the DPS stack did, but stack players should form a horizontal line for clarity. As you might expect, that knockback from normal mode is kind of a big deal now. In order to avoid getting forcibly emigrated off the platform, we need to build the wall. That's what those 2 mysterious back pegs are for. Drop the delayed webs on A, B, and C to connect them. The thing is, once won't be enough. We need to make the wall 10 feet higher. Quickly free the web stack, who will get the next set. The line they made will eliminate second guessing as to who's going where. Pandaemonium will cast the final round of bonds, which can be partners or roll stacks, and begin Harrowing Hell. So remember how Omega Ultimate was cleared without a healer? Yoshi P saw that and he said, no, you're bringing some goddamn healers from now on. Harrowing Hell is a massive heal and mitigation check on Savage and requires the kitchen sink. You're about to get decked for huge damage 8 times over 11 seconds with increasing frequency. Hits 6, 7, and 8 are only 1 second apart, and there's a 4-second pause before the final hit and knockback. Both tanks need to be in the front, as the closest 2 targets take even more damage. They should pop LB3 after the 3rd hit, and then both use immunities to guarantee survival. While tank LB3 is not, strictly speaking, required, it's much better to be safe than sorry here, especially in the Party Finder. Limit Break is a DPS loss, and us melee players don't want to use it anyway. If it's unavailable, make sure that your strongest mitigation is active for the last 3 hits and have your burst heals ready. Everyone else needs to do whatever they can to help out. Personal shields, bloodbath, second wind, faint addle, reprisal, etc. When the knockback arrows appear, look back at your debuffs and pre-position for bonds. Use your Tower 2 assignments if it's pairs and go support left, DPS right if it's groups. After you get punted, hug and spread as required. And the encounter essentially ends right there. It's all easy stuff until the end, so focus up on your rotation and beat his ass. I saw Enrage exactly twice before getting my kill. It really is just about getting here clean. Another set of tank towers, another set of web bridges. Cross back over right away for those rotating wedges from normal mode. Super easy. A half-room ray will be right behind it, but just pop sprint and you shouldn't have any issues here. Spin your camera one more time and dodge the orbs. Then watch his cast for a random in or out. Don't get caught off guard here. Get back to your silk spit positions, watch those pegs, don't throw away your kill, and run back mid for the last set of towers and final meltdown. Harrowing Hell number 2 serves as the Enrage. You've got no wall, so it's all ogre at the end. LB2 will fill during the first couple of hits with all the damage you'll be taking. Tank LB2 through hits 4 through 8, dump all your mitt, and press your buttons until he finally comes crumbling down. Don't look at the boss's health. Bring it down! Bring it down! Woo! Easy!
We built the best wall. We built the biggest, beautiful wall. Everybody says so. No one's ever seen a wall bigger than this.
It's over, dude. Holy fuck. Goddamn, I was so fucking... I didn't know if Brave or Tank LB was better there. I guess I just let him do the Tank LB. I think I was correct, probably. Thank you, it's done. It's fucking done. It's done. It's over at long last. I was worried about P10, and those worries were not baseless. The fight has a frankly obnoxious amount of body checking, and finding a group that could do bonds 3 consistently in the Party Finder was nearly impossible. Hippocampus and Hegemony were far too easy for a second turn, true enough, but this is an overcorrection. Tank towers and turret targeting being janky further lowers my opinion of the fight. It's no P7, but it's not one of my favorites. Oh well, they can't all be winners. Now we get to vibe a fleeting moment for the next 40 hours. It's done! May you be blessed.